President Trump's son, Eric Trump, tearing into the ongoing special counsel investigation, as well as the Obama-era Uranium One deal.
The Russia thing is a total sham. It is total nonsense. There is zero collusion with Russia. At the same time, you look at Uranium One. I mean, are people really naive enough to believe that somebody gave Hillary Clinton, right, a Secretary of State at the time, $145 million for her foundation for nothing? I mean, do people really believe that? And to me, it's such a travesty that that's not being investigated, because there is something there.
While multiple news reports have shown there is no direct evidence of pay-to-play involving Hillary Clinton in the Uranium One deal, my next guest says in a Washington Post op-ed, yes, the Clintons should be investigated, arguing Washington is up to its eyes in Kremlin cash and that any impartial Russia investigation should simply follow the money. Marc Thiessen is a columnist at the Washington Post, a fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, and a Fox News contributor, here to make his case in person. Marc?
Good to be with you, Sandra.
So, you're saying this, the Justice Department hasn't made a decision to move forward with this. Why are you?
Well, so, I mean, here's the thing. I think Donald Trump Jr., I don't know if he's right that there was no collusion and that's being investigated, but he's certainly right that Uranium One, the Clinton Foundation, got $145 million from people who were related to the uranium run. Bill Clinton personally got $500,000 for giving a speech to a Russian bank that had an interest in Uranium One. I mean, how many speeches has Bill Clinton given since the election, since Hillary Clinton was defeated, to Russian banks, with, or how much money has gone in the Clinton Foundation? Clearly, the Russians were playing both sides in Washington. They were lining the pockets of both Republicans and Democrats with Russian cash in an effort to influence our democracy. And if we want to take a nonpartisan approach to this, if we want to see really, if we're really concerned about the Russian assault on our democracy, we got to look at both sides. Yes, we got to investigate Manafort and Gates, but we also got to investigate the Podesta brothers. We got to investigate Bill Clinton. We got to investigate the Clinton Foundation, because if we don't do that, we're only going to get one side of the story, and that's not what we want. It's
an incredibly partisan discussion, one that you might want to avoid at the Thanksgiving turkey table this Thanksgiving. But Marc, you go further in your piece, talking about why we should all care. You say we should all be deeply concerned how much Russia cash was sloshing around Washington and how much of it found its way into the bank accounts of the Clintons and those around them. And we should all, Democrats and Republicans alike, want to get to the bottom of it. But the American people are left wondering, will we? Will anybody ever be held accountable?
Yeah, and because there's partisanship on both sides. So, you know, the people on the left are saying if you investigate the Clintons, that's a distraction from the real Russia investigation into the Trump administration. The reality is, I mean, if you look at the Intelligence Committee report, it says that the Russians have been trying to undermine American democracy for decades, and they have been engaging in influence operations. Russia has interest here. They want to get the Magnitsky bill repealed, which is a sanctions law that they spent millions of dollars trying to get that repealed. They've been they want to, in order to advance their interests in Washington and undermine our democracy, they want to compromise people on both sides. Because,
you know, and a lot of times, Marc, on the left, you hear, why are you still talking about Hillary Clinton? She lost the election.
Sure.
And you actually addressed that in your piece in the Washington Post this morning. You say, does the fact that Clinton lost mean Americans don't deserve to know the full extent of Russia's efforts to influence our political process? Because that is the argument you hear from them. She's not president.
Yep, no, absolutely. And look, it goes against our sensibilities as Americans to want to see the Justice Department of one party investigating the vanquished political candidate of the other party. And I understand that. We don't want to have a situation where you're using the Justice Department to politically punish your opponents. But the reality is there's plenty of evidence that there was millions and millions of dollars of Russian cash going in. I mean, Tony Podesta, brother of her campaign chairman, had to step down from his lobbying company, which is being dissolved because of its association with Manafort and Gates and doing work for the Putin-backed, Putin-funded Russian president of Ukraine. There is tons and tons of Russian cash going into the Clinton Foundation, to Clinton associates, people tied with her. And so we need to find that out if we want to know as a country the full picture of how Russia was trying to undermine our democracy and influence our political process.
You know, you're speaking my language when you say follow the money in your piece,
exactly.
Because it will always lead to answers when you look at the money trail. Meanwhile, Marc, I wanted to ask you generally about the White House and Washington and Capitol Hill this week. The president has an aggressive schedule today, meeting with his full cabinet. There's potentially a big announcement coming this afternoon. He's meeting with Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, Nikki Haley. They say that there could be an announcement on North Korea this afternoon. And meanwhile, there's this cloud over Washington right now amid the sexual harassment allegations against Al Franken and Roy Moore.
Sure.
How's this week shaping up? Obviously, it's a holiday-shortened week, but there's a lot going on.
There is a lot going on, and there are a lot of distractions from the. I mean, first of all, they're not just distractions. We need to get to the bottom of what's happening in Russia on both sides. We need to crack down on sexual assault and all of these things. But Congress has a job to do. The American people sent Congress and the president to Washington to get the economy going again.
Oh yeah, tax reform.
Yeah, tax reform. I mean, you know, and they've got to find a way to walk and chew gum at the same time. We've got to go through these investigations. We got to do them diligently and in a nonpartisan way, looking at both sides. But we also got to do the people's business here, because if we don't do the people's business, then the people are not going to be happy in 2018.
Yeah, and right now it's setting up to be, according to Goldman Sachs, it's setting up to be a spectacular year for the economy in 2018. But if tax reform doesn't get done, you're left wondering what that means for the stock market, which seems to want to continue to go higher. So will this get done by end of year? Marc Thiessen.
I think it will get done. I don't know if it'll get done by end of year, but it's going to get done. And the reason is simple, is that when the Republicans know that if they don't pass tax reform, they're finished. That if standing on the edge of a political abyss and looking down tends to concentrate the mind. They fail to repeal Obamacare. If they fail to pass tax reform and then they want to go before the American people and say, hey, re-elect us, the American people are going to say, no, thanks. So this is hugely important. And even all the divisions and all the troubles that they have in coming together on this, the fact that they're all going to hang together if they don't get it done should concentrate them.
All right, so everybody go enjoy your turkey, but next Monday everybody comes right back to work because there's a lot to do. All right, Marc Thiessen, good to see you. Thank you.
Good to see you, Sandra. Thanks.